From the First Star Logistics Studio here for another episode of State of the Jungle, a special edition of State of the Jungle, as I'm joined by my man Dave Lapham, Bengals legend. Dave, thanks so much for joining me, my man.
My pleasure, Malik. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. But before we do, as always, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the Sit Down with Malik Wright's YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to In the with Dave Lapham's YouTube channel as well. Does amazing work over there. Excited to get right into it. I want to start off with the offensive line. Man.
Okay.
A lot of people had questions about the offensive line heading into this season. People were saying, that was the Bengals' biggest weakness. And, one thing I found interesting, Dave, was not often, right, when a team comes off a Super Bowl, it's not often you see a team go out there and they address their biggest weakness. I mean, you're in the stadium every single day. You're around these guys. What have you viewed? You're a former offensive lineman yourself.
Right.
What are your thoughts on offensive line?
Yeah, I think that they made a big splash. I mean, immediately went into free agency and said, we're targeting two guys. And they went after Ted Karras and got him signed. And then they, went after Kappa, Alex Kappa, got him signed as well. And later on, when Collins became available, they went for a trio. And all of them have panned out. And then in the fourth round, they select Cordell Volson. The only remaining guy is Jonah Williams, as you say.
Yeah.
And I think Volson is an ascending rookie. I think he's getting better and better. I think Karras and Volson, the one thing about them, the characteristics about them that I like most, they finish.
Yes.
They finish blocks. They try to bury people. And then Kappa is an outstanding pass protector. The dude's like 6'6", 310 pounds, long arms, and he locks people up in pass protection. He does a good job too. All of them do at the running game, getting it, from the defensive lineman level to that linebacker level, the second level, and make plays there. And LC, he's fighting his back issue. He's had some ankle problems. He's been beaten up a little bit. When he's right, that dude's a tone setter, man. LC brings it, and he's matched up well against some pretty good defensive linemen. You look at it, Malik. I mean, they've played Myles Garrett twice now. Yeah. They played T.J. Watt twice now. Yeah. Enough said. Those two guys might be, in a lot of people's opinion, number one and two guy, flip-flop, everybody in each opinion in the league, Yeah. I mean, playmakers, game wreckers. And I think from the very beginning of the season, the problem that the offensive line had is guys were beaten up. Kappa he had some surgery. LC had the back problem. They hadn't played together. So the first month of the season was basically like their training camp, And I mean, looking at the tape of the Pittsburgh Steelers first game, when Joe Burrow wasn't anywhere near 100% physically because of, the appendectomy, and the offensive line we talk about, right guard, right tackle, fighting injuries, guys hadn't played, veterans hadn't played at all during the preseason. It looked like it. Yeah. Looking at that tape and looking at tape of the last month of this offensive line, night and day in terms of rhythm, timing, chemistry. It's like if I'm playing, Malik's my right tackle, I'm playing at guard. I have to get a feel for how does Malik handle ET stunts, the twist, the end penetrating, or how deep's his set? How does he pass it? Those things don't just happen overnight, even though they all came from like Super Bowl winning teams. Right. Kappa with Tampa Bay and Karras with New England, but the same quarterback, Tom Brady. I mean, they hadn't played together. Right. And you have to play next to each other to get that chemistry.
Absolutely. And now being a former offensive lineman yourself, what would you say is the biggest hurdle when you are, on a new team and you are working, with new faces and things of that nature?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things I went from NFL season with the Bengals right to a USFL season with no break, basically. I went right from the end of a season to training camp of another season. And, you're being taught specific techniques with specific terminology to handle defensive fronts.
Right.
And you go to another environment and it's a totally new language.
Right.
It's like you're in France speaking German. It's like the calls are totally different,
right.
So you kind of have to unlearn and relearn. It's like, all right, well, I know there's only so many ways you can block this, and I understand what this schematic looks like. What do they call this? What is it now? What do they call it? So you have to, like I said, unlearn and relearn and get familiar enough with terminology where when you communicate, you feel comfortable that you're communicating the right stuff. It's not like guy look at you like, huh? What are you talking about? Yeah, what's up with that? So that's a big part of it, I think. And then, like I said before, just finding out the other guy's strengths, weaknesses, what his traits are, what he leans on when he's in trouble, things of that nature.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people when they watch NFL and they, you get new offensive linemen. They're like, they expect to be like a video game of Madden.
Yeah.
Right? You pick a guy, he lines
They're
right
human
in.
beings, man.
Right, exactly. I think offensive line is a tough position to play. It's important that these guys know each other and they understand how to play with one another. One thing I want to talk to you, keeping on the offensive line, is the running game. The running game has found its way. I mean, Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon just seem to be gelling right now. What is the biggest change you think you've seen with the running game?
Yeah, I think that simple things as well, like, okay, on double teams, finding the right target. Both guys, the exact same target when I double team.
Right.
Perfect technique, hand placement, finishing. Who's going to overtake the defensive lineman as the other rubs off to the linebacker? Good footwork, finishing blocks. It's coordination, it's rhythm, it's timing, it's all that sort of thing. And I do think time on task with respect to Frank Pollock. Now, Frank Pollock might teach different techniques than the offensive line coach he came from.
Right. Absolutely.
One comes from Tampa, one comes from New England. Different coaches, a little bit different way of doing things, and you have to get familiar and comfortable with the way this offensive line coach wants things done. So there's a little bit of transition time there. And I think now, watching these guys come off the football now, I mean, they're like Karras and Volson are finishing blocks in that running game. I think those two guys, if I had to pick guys, quote, finishers, those two guys are finishers. If I had to pick a protector, probably pick Kappa as a protector. I mean, the dude is so, like I said before, so lengthy and athletic. But man, it's a pretty good group. It really is. I think they're playing like a top 5 offensive line in the last month in the National Football League. It's crazy.
I agree. And I remember when Frank Pollock, he was talking about how he needed glass eaters.
Yeah.
And Dave, I know that's probably your verbiage that you're used to. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is a glass eater? Well, the last month of football has shown me what glass eaters are. The way these guys are just finishing blocks. I mean, it's nasty. These guys get into the second level, meeting linebackers and, safeties, things of that nature, pulling guards, the whole 9 yards. Like, I'm a football nerd when it comes to this type of stuff. Right. So just seeing the way the offensive line has gelled, Cordell Volson's ascension has definitely shocked me. Yeah. And earlier, I'm very slow to be like, we'll see how it works out. But Cordell Volson, man, has impressed me like no other rookie, man.
It's interesting. The flea flicker touchdown.
Yeah.
That Trenton Irwin had, like you said, man, they're coming off the line of scrimmage and they're blasting linebackers. The key to that thing working, Delpit as a safety, he's coming down to help because the linebackers are getting smoked. So now the safety's coming to fill. So you had safeties like almost playing linebacker as well. Trenton Irwin and Delpit had some violent collisions in the running game because he had to go dig them out as an extra guy coming down into the box to help against the run. So when the coaches realized, man, they're bringing those safeties, not just the linebackers, let's go flea flicker. So Trenton Irwin was out there and fakes like he's going to run block on Delpit, another big collision, and he glides by him. Delpit thinks, he missed me, and he comes flying down. Trenton Irwin up the middle of the football field, wide open, and the other safety was eaten up by a route that took him to the sideline. He turned his back on it. Irwin's wide open, corner on the other side. He's like, it's too late. He couldn't get back. I asked Trenton Irwin after the game, you ever been that open in any level of football? He goes, never. And it's all because that running game set up that whole flea flicker thing, because it was easy to establish a play action run up front because you're actually running the ball and then Joe turns around and pitches it back. Everybody bit. Right. It was big time. And you can only do it when you have your running game established.
Right. Absolutely. Because you have to keep these pass rushers honest. You know what I mean? And the way that the Cincinnati Bengals are running the football right now, it seems like they're running with a purpose, right? Yeah. And that's so important for all you guys listening out there. That's so important heading down to the playoffs, so to speak. You need to be able to have a strong running game in these colder months and things of that nature.
No doubt, Malik. And you look at the last 2 games. Perine runs for over 100.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon almost hits 100.
Yeah.
You have 2 different running backs almost hitting their century mark in both games. Keep that going.
Yes.
Keep that going for the offensive line, because then life's easier for Joe Burrow. Then pass protection's easier. You're not even only giving Joe Burrow time, you're giving him space.
Right.
And when you give him time and space, it's curtains, man.
Absolutely.
He'll rip people up.
And the one thing that I was telling people all offseason, I said, Joe Burrow can run the ball.
Yeah.
He can run the ball. We've been seeing it the last few weeks. The guy is more comfortable. The offensive line is just open up lanes for him and things of that nature. So he's sitting back there in the pocket, patting the ball. As soon as the lane opens up, he's going, man. I try to tell people he may not be as physical as a Josh Allen, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has an ability at LSU, and I think people forgot about this because obviously coming off of the torn ACL, he had a lot of the plays he made was outside of the pocket.
Sure.
The guy is very elusive for whatever reason. Joe Burrow, man, he can move.
He runs a 4.6. He runs a legit 4.6. Pretty good.
Wow. Yeah.
And when he was in high school, he was an all-state point guard. Dude's an athlete.
Mhm.
I mean, he's not a stiff. You know, I mean, he's very athletic. He can make you miss. He's got some wiggle. There was a play where he had a 16-yard run.
Mm-hmm.
It was an RPO, and he puts the ball in P. Ryan's belly, and Asi was supposed to run a route. Well, he didn't hear the final tag on the call to make it an RPO, so he blocked run. So Joe's like, "Oh man, there's no route being run," because he didn't like the run look at first. So he starts to pull it out of P. Ryan's belly, and he says, "Oh man, Asi's not running a route. Poise, composure, doesn't panic. I'm going to follow P. Ryan. P. Ryan's going to go through the run fake." He turned P. Ryan into a lead blocker. P. Ryan doubles the nose guard. That 16-yard run where Joe had to spin at the end.
Oh,
and
yeah, against the Chiefs. Against the Chiefs. Oh, man.
That was a made-up play.
Wow.
I mean, it was a broken play. RPO, he wasn't supposed to be the R. The R was either P. Ryan or throw the football. But when the play broke down, again, poise.
Right.
No panic, total composure. Okay, I'm going to keep the ball, and I'm going to run to the design hole, and I'm going to make 16 yards out of it. That's Joe Burrow in a nutshell.
Yes, I got to tell Dave about the nickname that I have. I'm talking to our producer, Daniel. I gave Joe Burrow a nickname, man. I said I call him the conductor. The way the guy conducts the offense, man, he knows what he's doing. And I was talking on a podcast earlier this summer. I said he has to be the smartest guy on the football field. He seems like he has an answer for everything the defense throws at him. And I loved his answer in the press conference the other day. He says, well, you know, tip passes, I guess that's the only way I throw interception these days. And I said, okay.
Crazy.
Well,
You're right, though. This guy, okay, there's a few, you know, Peyton Manning, people of that ilk. This guy's right in that category of quarterbacks that I've seen that see the whole field immediately and then process the information, make a decision, and it's the right one 99.9% of the time. The dude has the answers to the test like you were talking about, as well as any guy. Football IQ is Mensa as well as any quarterback I've seen, man.
Agreed, man. I was telling the guys, I said, man, in terms of studying quarterbacks, Joe Burrow might be the best quarterback that I've ever studied coming out of college. People are like, what do you mean? He went to LSU. I'm like, I'm trying to tell you, his mental processing is second to none. But I'm excited that he's starting to get a lot of respect around the National Football League, which brings us to our next topic, Dan, I want to get to. Are the Cincinnati Bengals, or should the Cincinnati Bengals be Super Bowl favorites? I'll start this one off. I'll say this. I think that they should be. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they went to the Super Bowl last year with an offensive line that had its struggles for sure. But I think last year showed us what this team could potentially be. Now, Joe Burrow came off of the surgery to start the season and stuff like that. And everybody wrote the Bengals off. Everybody said the Bengals run last year was a fluke. And I think that when you get to the later months, you get to these months right now, the Bengals are proving to you that last year's run wasn't a fluke, but I think the most important thing, Dave, I said, I think the Bengals are winning in different ways. They're winning in different ways. They don't need Joe Burrow to throw for 400 yards every single game. Right. He can hand the ball off 30 times to Samaje or Joe Mixon. The defense could pick up. This team is just so versatile. I don't know. It has a championship swagger too. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they're a complete football team that plays complementary football. You hear about Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, they're legitimate offensive stars in the NFL. But man, don't sleep on the Bengals defense. DJ Reader is a Pro Bowler. DJ Reader is a Pro Bowler, man. That guy, when he's doing his thing in the interior of the defensive line and knocking the line backwards, he had 5 unassisted tackles in the game against the Cleveland Browns as a nose tackle.
Yeah.
And then behind him, Logan Wilson has 17, 14 of them unassisted, 19 unassisted tackles. DJ Reader's the reason he's keeping linemen off of Logan Wilson. Plus, he's beating him and making 5 tackles by himself.
Right.
Like in baseball, you want to be strong up the middle defensively. Shortstop, second base, center field, catcher. Bengals are strong up the middle defensively. They have DJ Reader, Logan Wilson, the Killer Bees, Bates and Bell at safe. That's strong up the middle defensively, just like a good baseball team. Don't sleep on the Bengals defense. They may not have superstars, but they have no lackeys anywhere. They're at a very high level at every position group. Don't forget about Pratt. And let's not forget Awuzie Pro Bowl corner is out for the season. Cam Taylor-Britt getting it done. I mean, that's the thing, Malik, that is impressive to me. To make a Super Bowl run, you have to have roster depth.
Yeah.
And they have had guys that have expanded their role and thrived in the role expansion and proven that they can play. Just last week,
you
have Trenton Irwin and Trent Taylor step up, 6 targets, 3 catches, over 90 yards, over 30 yards a catch, the flea flicker being one of them, granted, but those guys stepped up. When players have gone down, next man up, this team is the definition of next man up. The coaching, first of all, the scouting department, kudos, you've got the right people, draft in and free agency. Coaches, kudos, you've developed them. Players, kudos, you're stepping up and executing. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I remember when Mike Hilton went out, earlier this Sunday. He came back to the game.
Yeah.
But I was talking with some people in the First Star Suite. They were like, "Who's 35?" I said, "Oh, that's Jalen Davis. He's going to step right in. He's a slot corner." I never heard of him. The Bengals, to Dave's point, the Bengals have so much depth. And, one nickname going around for Lou is Lou the Mad Scientist. They say he's a mad scientist, the way he's able to get get these guys up and ready to play and things of that nature. It just seems like this defense is just gelling. In a lot of ways, this team is better than the team last year, which is scary because I saw a lot of people saying, well, I think this Bengals defense has peaked. I don't think so. I think this Bengals defense is getting stronger and stronger. And to Dave's point, the Bengals linebacking core, man, Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, and then you got Akeem Davis-Gaither, you got Marcus Bailey. The depth on this Bengals football team is superb. And, I don't know, it's just special to see it all shake out. So for me, I personally think we obviously have a couple of games that are going to be interesting down the stretch right here, right? You got the Bills game. I'm getting word that the Buccaneers are supposed to be missing 5 to 6 starters. We'll see on the offensive side of things. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how that game plays out. I'm pumped up. But Dave, before I switch gears here, is there anything you want to add in terms of the Bengals, the rest of the stretch down the way? What do you think is the key for them the rest of the stretch?
I think the key is approach every game to be 1-0 like they have been. They're not looking any further than the next football game.
Yes, sir.
And I agree. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are beaten up, but the Bengals, man, they've got dislocations. They got some broken bones themselves. It's going to be interesting to see which hands are on deck for this football game. And if all hands aren't on deck in terms of starters, does Tampa Bay have the roster depth the Bengals have? Can it be matched that way? That one's going to be interesting. But man, I've seen it too often with this dude. Tom Brady, he's pissed.
Yeah.
They stunk.
Yeah.
He stunk. 35-7. He doesn't usually have 2 stinkers in a row. You're going to see Tom Brady motivated, playing at his highest level, trying to lift up his teammates. You can't go down there and assume anything.
Yeah.
You can't think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to play as poorly as they played in San Francisco. Tom Brady goes home to San Francisco. Over 100 tickets he buys for family and friends, and they lay a dinosaur egg. He's pissed, and he's going to try to take it out on the Bengals. So get this game under your belt. Going to New England, Bill Belichick, they're still in the playoff hunt. Can't sleep on them. You have Buffalo, you have Baltimore. That is a grind, man. A grind. And you just have to take it 1 week at a time. But the thing is, if you sweep them, you're the number 1 seed. You are the number 1 seed in the playoffs if you win those last 4 football games.
Absolutely. They control their destiny. But before we get into answering some questions here, I want to just let everybody know, if you're looking to start your career, as a broker, there's no better place than First Star. I moved out here at the end of August, and the atmosphere has been awesome. The people here are amazing. This is a crossover episode, right? If you watch In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, Dave has been with First Star for quite some time. Dave, you want to speak a little bit about your experience with First Star? You've been here much longer than me, man.
Yeah, you know what? It's almost like sports, Malik. It's a team. And you start to have a culture that's built, and you start to care about your teammates more than about yourself. Right. And that's what they got here going at First Star. They almost treat it like they're building a team to go compete on a daily basis. And it's almost like the way it works is you got to do your job. Just like if you're a lineman, we're working next to each other. We both have to do our job. If everybody does their individual job, all of a sudden the team's benefiting.
Absolutely.
So you're playing for the team, but you got to make sure you get your work done as well. And that's what they have going around here. So it's a tremendous culture.
Yeah.
It's one of those atmospheres where work hard, they play hard
Absolutely.
too. They
Absolutely.
take care of their
people.
people.
Oh yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
do.
So like I said, just having the opportunity to sit down with Dave today and bring you guys this crossover episode. This is what it's all about. This is where we're truly like a family unit here. So if you're looking to start your career today as a broker, make sure you apply to First Star Logistics. The links and everything is down in the description. So the fun part of the show, here we go. We're going to answer some questions, only a few, because like I said, we want to be respectful to time and stuff like that. So Daniel, the floor is yours, my man.
So people are absolutely loving this crossover episode. We got Brian in here said, you guys are great together. You guys need to do this more often. But the first question, this is coming from Lane. Lane is asking, how do you think Big Lou, and this is for Dave, how do you think Big Lou will adjust on Sunday with the injuries to the edge rushers?
Yeah, one thing about Lou Anarumo, like Malik was talking about, they call him the mad scientist. This guy is a tremendous schemer. I mean, he puts together game plans. I remember when we were on our Super Bowl run, Lindy Infante was our offensive coordinator, and we could not wait for Wednesday when game plan was presented. It's like, man, what's Lindy got this week, man? What's going on? And that's how the defense is. I see these guys like, man, what's Lou? What are we doing? What's he got me doing this week, man? Lou's always accentuating our talents, man. What do we have going on? And he will adapt. He will adjust. Talked with him a little bit earlier in the week, and he said he's played against Tom Brady multiple times. What you have to do with Tom is almost play chess a step ahead. All right, well, he's going to diagnose that this is the look. Here's what he's going to do to it. So you almost have to game plan about what he's going to do to it before he does it. So you're always trying to stay a step ahead of Tom Brady. It's going to be very interesting. Lou Anarumo's background is he played defensive back, coached defensive backs. So he disguises from the back to the front, and he will disguise coverages. He will disguise pressure packages as best he can. And he has confounded Mahomes. Last week, Watson didn't know what he was looking at. Watson was holding the ball forever. Tom Brady, that ain't Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to get the ball out. Tom Brady's we're more mobile than Tom Brady. I mean, we can get out of the pocket faster than Tom Brady can. So his whole thing is get the ball out of his hand the quickest of anybody in the National Football League. So Lou will have some packages for him. There's no doubt. But the thing that impresses me most about his defense, guys, they tackle.
Yes.
There were 2 missed tackles last week, 2 missed tackles in the Chiefs game, 2 missed tackles in the Tennessee Titans game. They don't let people get extra yards after contact. When contact's made, they're on the ground. That has to continue.
So, one thing that's funny to me, I remember Joseph Osai's rookie year. It was a preseason game. Now, everybody's going to say, oh, it's a preseason game, but it was a preseason game.
Yep.
We were facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I saw the way Joseph Osai was turning Tristan Wirfs around. I'm excited for that matchup. I'm really excited for that matchup if he does get his snaps against him on the football field, because I think Tristan Wirfs struggles against speed rushers, and Joseph Osai is a speed rusher. And I believe in that game, Joseph Osai may have had either one sack. I think he might have 1.5 sacks or 2 sacks.
He sacked the goat, and then he got hurt.
Yes.
So he only played like 3 snaps.
Yes.
And he got a sack on the go.
Yes.
And that was his first NFL sack. And that's been Joseph's problem, man. He's just had some injuries.
Yeah.
He had a shoulder that rolled out. It didn't totally dislocate, but it didn't sublux out of there totally. Now he's got a loose shoulder. He's going to be on the injury report, how much practice time he's going to get. And, when you've got that kind of a problem, it's hard to grab and pull and rip when you're so they're beaten up. There's no question. The caller had or the interrogator there, the questioner had a very good one with the Hendrickson. He's got a broken wrist.
Yeah.
He probably won't be playing.
Yeah.
Osai's got a shoulder injury. I mean, other guys are going to have to step up. Again, if everybody does a little, nobody has to do a lot. So it's going to be roster depth once again.
Absolutely.
And then other guys are going to maybe have to take more snaps than they have during the course of the season. And the fact is, it's not going to be 90 degrees down there, but it could be, talking Tampa.
Yeah.
It won't be really humid down there this time of the year, but it won't be as cold and chilly as it is in Cincinnati. That's for damn sure.
One thing I will say, and I'll tell everybody this, I have a little secret. One of my favorite players the Bengals got this year was Jeff Gunter out of Coastal Carolina. That guy, he's a little bit of a Carl Lawson to him, if you guys remember who that is. But I'm a big fan of Jeff Gunter. I'm excited to see.
He's been deactivated the last 3 games. This week, he almost has to be up.
Oh my God.
Because guys are beaten up. It could be time for a Gunter show.
That's what I'm saying. I'm excited. Let's keep it going, Daniel.
So we got a question here from Marissa. She's asking Dave about your your favorite calls this year. Which has been one of your favorite plays to call so far this year?
Boy, I'd say the flea flicker is probably in one of the tops. But I mean, so many of them. Some of the throws that Joe Burrow makes are just jaw-dropping. I mean, the touchdown pass to Jamar Chase. I mean, he's double. Corner, safety over the top. Joe threads it in there into his back hip, the only place that the completion could have been made. I mean, it's like, man, just watching some of these guys connect and hook up, you know, the way that they do. I really enjoy watching Jamar Chase. He is a freak. I mean, he's got the lower body strength of a strong running back. He's got the contact balance of a strong running back, yet he can jackhammer his feet and decelerate and accelerate, get in and out of cuts like a much smaller person, tremendous hands. The guy is an alien, man. He's a freak the way he can play. Watching him make plays, you know, it just boggles my mind every single week. I'm always thinking, what's he going to do this week? It's amazing.
I'm certainly not on the call, but I will say this. My favorite play of Joe Burrow's entire career, it was against the 49ers last year. Joe Burrow scrambles away from Nick Bosa, makes a couple of guys miss. I don't even know how Jamar saw the ball. He threads it the back of the end zone, tiptoes the pass. I'm like, whoa. To me, that's still the most impressive throw in Joe Burrow's career.
I mean, throw, and then for Jamar to finish it, like you say, I mean, that guy, those two, honestly, those two are tracking for the Hall of Fame. The Bengals have two potential Hall of Famers that know each other so well for their time in college, now in the National Football League. That chemistry, that ESP, you know, like I said earlier, Chase knows it's going back shoulder.
Right.
He knows before Joe throws it. Joe's going back shoulder on this one. It's amazing to watch those two guys operate. And, man, you look at it, with the talent when all hands are on deck. T. Higgins is number one on most teams in the National Football League. Tyler Boyd, it's like, man, there's some talent on that football team.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, we want to thank you guys so much for your questions, but we did promise that we would get to a giveaway. So, Daniel, I believe it's time to spin the wheel. We did it right before the show, so it's time to figure out who the winner is of the signed Dave Lapham jersey. Daniel? I'm live here at the First Star Logistics Studio with my main man, Dave Lapham.
Yes, sir.
As we discussed, we are going to give away a free Dave Lapham jersey signed by the man himself. It's time to pick a winner. Let's see who we're going to land on.
Oh, baby. It's a tough one.
Congratulations to Jennifer Schultz. She's been a longtime supporter of the show. We appreciate you for following along, and thank you to everybody who subscribed to the YouTube channel. Congratulations again. All right, so congratulations to Jennifer Schultz. You are the winner of the signed Dave Lapham jersey. We're going to make sure this gets mailed out to you. Dave's going to sign it to you, sign it for you, and we just appreciate you for supporting, you know, the First Star family, supporting in the trenches with Dave Lapham, and also supporting the Sit Down with Malik Wright. Guys, thank you so much for, you know, making time for us today on your show. Dave, thanks for joining me, my man.
It was a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
A lot of fun, man.
We'll definitely do this again sometime, but as always, want to thank you guys for supporting. Make sure you guys follow First Star Logistics on Twitter. Subscribe to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Subscribe to the Sit Down with Malik Wright. Hoo day, and we'll see you next time.
Hoo day.